Hello guys, good afternoon. You are welcome to my YouTube channel, The Explicit Tutorers. As you all know, my name is Tutor Joseph and some of my students call me Mr. Explicit. So please, as you watch this video, do subscribe so that when I upload a new content, you'll be notified by YouTube. In today's video, we shall be discussing a topic that is a subtopic, class Trematoda, subclass Digeneans. Alright, this class is under phylum Platyhelminthes. There are four classes under this phylum: Tobelera, Monogenia, Trematoda, and Cestoda. So in today's class, we shall be doing justice to class Trematoda. Please, as you watch, subscribe, please. Now, before we go into the most commonly known member of this class, let's look at the features they possess. Please take note that the body of this organism is surrounded by what is called syncytial teguments. Now, this word syncytial means a structure that possesses numerous nuclei. A structure that possesses what? Numerous nuclei, not one nucleus. Nucleus is one, nuclei is what? Many. So syncytial is a structure that possesses numerous nuclei. Also take note that these guys they lack hook and cilia. In other words, we say they are non-ciliated organisms. The cestos, that is, they belong to class Cestoda, they are also non-ciliated because they lack cilia. Please take note that trematodes or the Digeneans lack hook and what? Cilia, please. Number 3, the trematodes, they possess oral and ventral sucker. Alright, they possess sucker and they lack hook. Alright, and of course the suckers are made for what? Feeding. Alright, they help in sucking nutrients from the host in which they are found. Take note of that. Number 4, these guys, they also have what is called heterogenous life cycle. If you don't understand the meaning of this word heterogenous, you can also say they have indirect life cycle. Alright, if they have heterogenous or indirect life cycle, it means that the life cycle alternates between a primary host or secondary host or intermediate host. Another name for primary host is called what? Definitive host. Another name for secondary host is called what? Intermediate host. Take note of that. So they have what is called heterogeneous life cycle because their life cycle alternates between a definitive or primary host and secondary or intermediate host. Please take note that the primary host is usually an invertebrate. The primary host is usually what? An invertebrate called mollusk. Alright? While the secondary host is usually vertebrates. It's usually vertebrates. And examples of these vertebrates are cattle, goats, and sheep. These are examples of intermediates, or example of vertebrates that these ones are found. Sometimes man can act as what? Accidental host. Alright? You get to understand as the class progresses how man happens to fall victim or how man becomes an accidental host for these worms. Alright? Take note that these organisms, they are leaf-like. Alright, they have the structure of what? Leaf. They are leaf-like. Take note that these organisms are all parasitic. None is free living. They are all parasitic. What did I say? They are all parasitic. None is free living. They are all capable of causing harm to the host in which they are found. Now, what are some examples of these organisms. All right. We have Schizosoma, Schizosoma hematobium. Schizosoma hematobium is also called blood fluke. All right, it's also called blood fluke. Schizosoma hematobium is also called what? Blood fluke. All right. Please, there are different species of Schizosoma. We have Schizosoma hematobium, we have Schizosoma japonicum, and we have Schizosoma masoni. These are the three species of Schizosoma. But in this class, we are just mentioning Schizosoma. Let me not take us too far, right? So these are called blood fluke because they are majorly found in the blood stream. Okay, I believe that is understood enough. Now, since this organism is called Schizosoma hematobium, the disease it causes is mentioned, is named after its own name. So the disease caused by this organism is called Schizosoma. Okay, Schizosoma or Schistosoma. Okay, Schistosomiasis. Schistosomiasis, alright, Schistosoma hematobium and schistosomiasis. This word miasis connotes what? Disease. Alright. This organism called schistosoma also causes bilharziasis. Bilharziasis. Alright. Bilharziasis is caused by schistosoma. Schistosomiasis is also caused by same Schizosoma hematobium. All right. Another species found here is we have the Fasciola gigantica or hepatica. Now, as the name implies, hepatica. What does that say? This word hepatica. You know, hepatic vein, hepatic artery, hepatic portal vein are all associated with the liver. Therefore, this organism is also called what? Liver fluke. Liver what? Fluke. It's also called liver fluke. Take note of that. It is very, very important. So this organism causes it is called fasciolasis. You see, fasciolasis. Please take note of that. This organism I said is called liver fluke. It is capable of causing damage to the liver, thereby resulting in what? Liver rot. And these are the organisms that are invaded by that parasite. Another species of the trematodes is the Paragonimous westermani. Paragonimous westermani. This is otherwise called what? Long fluke. Long what? Fluke. Now, the disease caused by this organism is called paragonimiasis. Paragonimous westermani is the organism, the parasite, while the disease causes is called what? Paragonimiasis. Please, what I've given us is just the general features of this class Trematoda. Please, the most commonly known member of this class is the Fasciola gigantica or Fasciola hepatica. All right, it is the most commonly known member of this class, or you say a representative member of class Trematoda. What do I call it? Fasciola gigantica. That's all hepatica. Now, please take note that these organisms have already given us that the primary host is a mollusk, which is an invertebrate, the secondary host or intermediate host, which is a vertebrate, okay, goats, sheep, and cattle, and man as well, okay. Now, this organism is found actually invading its hosts mostly in Africa and Asia. All right, this organism is common in Africa and North Asia. Please take note of that. It is very, very important. Now, I said it is also called what, liver fluke. It has the ability to cause liver rot by invading the cells of the liver. Please take note of that. Now, we've given a brief introduction of what this organism is. Now, let's now take it broader. Now, in terms of nutrition, now these organisms only feeds on the tissue and blood of its hosts. All right, it is found feeding on the tissue and blood of its host, thereby causing pain to the host. In the process of feeding on the host, it may get digested, or let's say, okay, now fine. To a very large extent, this organism is not able to be digested fully because it has an external protective layer called these teguments, syncytial teguments. So these syncytial teguments act as a protective shield. Apart from being protective in function, it also carries out metabolic activities. Therefore, as soon as the parasite feeds on the tissue and blood of its host, it ingests it. You know, this organism, they don't have a digestive system, all right, which means that feeding is by absorption. I told you it has oral and ventral sucker. Don't forget that. Now, apart from, I've told us how it feeds on the tissue and blood of its host. Then, in terms of excretion, it has what is called longitudinal trunk. This longitudinal trunk is lined by fine branches called the excretory tubules. Excretory what? Tubules. Longitudinal trunk possessed by this organism is lined by fine branches called excretory tubules. Now, these excretory tubules has 2 or 3 flame cells. All right, has 2 or 3 flame cells. Now, it is this flame cell that carries out removal of waste substances. It acts as what? The major excretory organ. So please take note. As soon as waste have been collected by the flame cell, it is emptied into the longitudinal trunk. As soon as the waste product gets here, what happens? This trunk opens exteriorly. It opens exteriorly into the exterior pore. Into the exterior pore or excretory pore. Let's use the word excretory pore. It opens into the excretory pore through which the waste products is given off or is what? Excreted. So that is based on what? Excretion. Now, based on nervous system now, please take note that these organisms, their nervous system is made up of what is called It's what is called second oesophageal ring. Oesophageal ring. Alright? And this oesophageal ring somehow comprises what is called longitudinal nerves. Alright? So please, of course, you know the function of nervous system. Naturally, they help in coordinating the body activities by transmitting pulses from one part of the body to another. So that is based on what? Circulation, right? Now, the next thing we are going to be looking at is their mode of reproduction. Don't forget we are discussing Fasciola gigantica. Their mode of reproduction. Fasciola hepatica or gigantica, as they are the same. Now, in terms of their mode of reproduction, what are your take concerning this? Okay, now it is very easy. Please take note that this organism is found in the bile ducts. It is found in the bile ducts of its host. Bile duct and what? Liver. It is found in the bile ducts and the liver of its host. You know, the bile ducts is that canal that is joined to the liver, and the structure that passes through the bile ducts to the gallbladder is called the bile. The bile is found stored in the gallbladder. What does it do? It helps in emulsifying fats. Take note that Fasciola hepatica is majorly found in the bile ducts and the liver of its host. Take note of that. Now, what kind of reproduction or mode of reproduction does this organism undergo? It is monoecious. It is what? Monoecious, which is to say that it is what? Hermaphroditic. Hermaphroditic. Or you say it is what? Bisexual, in the sense that it possesses both the male and female reproductive organ. Okay, so that's why it's monoecious or hermaphrodite or what? Bisexual. Now, please take note that the uterus, you know, the male reproductive organ is called testes, while that of the females is called what? Ovaries. Now, please, the uterus of this organism is found positioned on the opposite side of the ovary. All right, it is found positioned opposite the what? Ovary. Please take note. Sometimes AB department brings question like that. Which of these is correct about the reproductive organ or the arrangement of the uterus in the Fasciola hepatica? Please, the uterus is found positioned opposite the ovary. Apart from that, also take note that the most striking feature of this guy is that their intestinal ceca intestinal ceca, ovary, and testes are branched. Are what? Branched. If you don't say they are branched, you say they are bifurcated. Alright? They are branched. Please take note that the intestinal ceca, ovary, and testes of these organisms are branched. Take note of that. So I just remember this. It's good to take note of this. Now, we've established that these organisms are monoecious or hermaphrodite or bisexual, possessing both the male and female reproductive organ. Now, what happens? This is how the life cycle is. You must pay attention. Who is recording? Yeah, it's recording. You must pay full attention. Now, the egg, the eggs of these organisms, they are laid, into the bile ducts, of their host. All right. Okay. If okay, as soon as they are laid into the bile ducts of their host, from there they enter into the intestine. They enter into the intestine. As soon as they enter into the intestine, all right, after some metabolic activities, that is, they've entered their host now, right? These eggs are secreted or are laid into the bile ducts of their host. I've given us the examples of both that is the primary and secondary host, right? It enters the bile ducts. From the bile ducts, it enters into the intestine. As soon as metabolic activities have completed, what happens? These eggs, initially laid, is passed out with feces. It is passed out with feces. This eggs is laid inside the bile duct. From the bile duct, it migrates to intestine. Then these eggs are therefore passed out with feces into the outer world. Now, this egg solid comes in contact with water. All right, it comes in contact with water. As soon as it comes in contact with water, it develops into a ciliated larva. And this ciliated larva is called waiting Miracidium larva. Miracidium larva. Now, this larva has cilia, that's why it's ciliated. Now, as soon as it develops into the Miracidium larva, it doesn't stop there. The function of this Miracidium larva is to look for the primary host of the organism, all right? It swims, right? Because there is presence of water, right? So it swims. As soon as it swims, it locates the primary host, and this primary host is a mollusk, as I initially said. This mollusk is called Limnia natalensis, right, which is a mollusk. The type of mollusk that this Miracidium larva gets into, attaches to, is called what? Limnia natalensis. It's a type of what? Mollusk. As soon as the Miracidium larva attaches itself to this snail or mollusk, what happens? Now, please take note. Before the eggs eventually develops into Miracidium larva, it undergoes what is called embryonation. All right, it just occurred to me now. Before the eggs develop into Miracidium larva, it undergoes embryonation to produce what? Miracidium larva, which will then locate or look for the primary host, Limnia natalensis. As soon as it gets to the mollusk, which is this, what happens? Each miracidium develops into what is called sporocyte. Each miracidium develops into what is called what? Sporocyte. A sporocyte is actually a structure that is made of what? A germ cell. This structure is made up of what? Germ cells. About 2 to 3 weeks, what happens? These germ cells develop into what is called radia. That is 2 radia, to be specific. 2 radia. Now, the 2 radia that this sporocyte develops into are the mother radia and the daughter radia. The sporocyst contains germ cells. After 2 to 3 weeks, it develops into 2 radia, which are the mother radia and what? The daughter radia. Now, this radia so produced, alright, this radia so produced develops into what is called cercaria. It develops into cercaria. Now, this cercaria, alright, this cercaria is how do I put it now? It's passed from the organism, and it insisted, alright, as soon as the cercaria is undergo existing or excitation, it develops what we called metacercaria. Metacercaria. You see how the life cycle goes. The limnia develops into sporocyst. Sporocyst develops to their mother and daughter. The daughter develops into cercaria, and cercaria develops into metacercaria. Now, this metacercaria, when it attaches itself, once this metacercaria attaches, please, I'll ask you, which of the following is the infective stage of a trematode? Please, the infective stage of this guy is the cercaria larva. The cercaria larva is the infective stage, alright? So, now this guy, okay, it gets assisted. Now, as soon as it develops into the metacercaria, alright, what happens? It is fed upon by grazers. Once this metacercaria attaches itself to vegetables, to herbs, as soon as the secondary hosts, which are now cattle, goats, and sheep, they'll feed on this metacercaria. As soon as they feed on this metacercaria, it gets into their intestinal tracts. Alright? As soon as it gets into their intestinal tracts, okay, before it enters into that intestinal tract, the cyst of this organism, the cyst, like look at the word cyst, the cyst will dissolve. As soon as it dissolves, that is when this guy will not be what? Released. Once it's released in the intestine of the host, what happens? It migrates to the digestive tracts of this host. From the digestive tract, it moves into the bile ducts. The bile duct is the end region where the life cycle stops. As soon as it gets to the bile duct, it develops into an adult worm. So, from there, the life cycle continues again. So, as soon as this cercaria gets assisted or is attached to leaves, okay, fine. There are 2 ways in which man becomes an accidental host. If a person feeds on goats, sheep, and cattle that hasn't been well prepared, such worm can enter into the body of what? Man. That is one of the ways. Another way in which man can actually fall victim is by feeding on vegetables that have been infected by the cercaria larva. That's why before cooking, make sure you wash the vegetables properly before what? Consumption, alright? So please, and you know, these organisms, they are economically and medically what? Important. They are medically and economically important what? Organisms. So in conclusion, it means that the eggs will develop into the Miracidium larva. Miracidium does what? Develops into the sporocyst. The sporocyst does what? Develops into radia. And the radia develops into, that is the daughter radia now, develops into what? Cercaria. And sometimes they'll add what? Metacercaria. So please, this is infective stage of the organism. So at this point, we'll call it a day. If you know you have learned something in today's video, please endeavor to subscribe, like, share, and comment. It is very, very important. Do have a wonderful day. Please subscribe.